I wish more shows, especially anime, did what they just pulled with Kamiya in this episode. And like I was analyzing last week, it very much felt to me like they were building up to a moment, in my opinion, that Shikimori would be the key to Kamiya accepting and probably getting over the fact that she can't have the boy that she likes. But they went above even my expectations. Even though I had the general idea of where they were going to go in this episode, they still surpassed and even surprised me in elegant ways. Because here's the thing. We've now known, prior to this episode, 7 episodes of Shikimori and Izumi in a relationship. And we can tell that they would never leave each other. Like, it's that rare case of high school sweethearts who are going to last into their adulthoods, into their elderly years, and be just fine. Most high school relationships don't last, but you can tell these two would, right? Just because they're natural connections. They're two halves of the same heart. And I love the fact that rather than just having someone like Shikimori get jealous and, feud with another girl who dares to like her boy, instead she's compassionate because she understands that very well it could have been flipped around. What if she didn't confess first and someone as beautiful and awesome as Kamiya ended up with Izumi, right? It's not a sin to like someone. The sin comes when you start trying to break apart. And the fact that both Kamiya and Shikimori, they're so similar in ways that I didn't expect. Like, the fact is, you have someone like Kamiya who is essentially worshipped like an idol. Everyone looks at her like she's untouchable. You can't approach her. Should I go talk to her? No, she probably wouldn't care about the average guy like me. And it's real. I mean, how many times have you seen, just in general, like, someone who you're like, holy shit, is that a supermodel? And they're with an average person. And it's not because of like, oh my, that's just like the natural hotness that they're connected to. It's more so because they actually went up and approached and they got to know each other and they fell in love in that way. And I love the fact that for Kamiya, Izumi was that person. Normal guy who didn't look at her as this idol, didn't look at her as this princess, but normal. And by the time she realized how she felt, and even though she realized it sooner, unlike someone like Shikimori, which is why I love this image right here, she held her heart in the open, where she held hers in the distance. So in return, by the time she really realized that, man, I really wanted to be with this guy, it's too late. And I think she was hoping, definitely gave me the impression that Shikimori wasn't this great person, because then maybe she could have been a little more spiteful. But Shikimori's this awesome girl. She's honest, she's pure. And the fact that she went up on that rooftop and not only tried to give her back the heart with Izumi's number on it, because obviously Kamiya, as we saw at the end of last week, had Izumi's number, the matching couple's number, she rips it up. Because it's not fair. It's not fair to take something from someone, even if she can't have Izumi, the fact that she took away the one thing that it meant something, right? And I love the fact that they had that honest connection there, and then you tie it together with the birthday/anniversary of Shikimori and Izumi being together / Shikimori's birthday, and the fact that she's like, no matter how cute, no matter how awesome, I'm never gonna let you go. And I think that's what makes it great, because when you look at it, right, from the very early stages of the show, probably half the school wants to date Shikimori, but Shikimori's not gonna leave Izumi, she loves the guy to death. But it's nice to have it on the opposite end of the spectrum, someone who's very similar to Shikimori, but just she couldn't admit to her feelings, and had she admitted to them sooner, maybe they would have ended up in a relationship and we would have had something similar just with them, right? But the fact that they went this raw and real, and the fact that they didn't force conflict, because if you're in a healthy relationship, right, it's natural that people might end up having feelings for someone else, but it's the way you deal with it, right? Do you push it back in a nice way, saying, I appreciate it, but I'm in a committed relationship? Or two, you understand, you guys were friends, and it's natural that friends can develop these feelings, and I'm sorry that you didn't get to act on them, and I trust that you're not going to try to rip us apart, and she knows that she couldn't anyway, and it's just this nice bow, and the fact that they started the episode with this fairy tale kind of like drawings, almost like a storybook, and the fact that they talk about the movie that it's, the live action movie that's based upon, it's just nice and heartbreaking, and for someone who just wanted to be treated normal, the first person who truly did was her first love that, unfortunately, she missed out on. But I like the kind of message that they're going with, that even if you miss out on that first time, it's not the end of the world. You're still young. You'll find something someday. And it's a learning experience. So she'll know not to let it happen again in the future. And the fact that she's genuinely happy that Izumi's dating someone like her, and the fact that said girlfriend, Shikimori's not mad at one of Izumi's friends for developing feelings, it's nice because they could have easily went with the jealous trope, and the fact that the jealousy only really comes out when it comes to Izumi's male friends for just like that kind of anime comic relief. It's awesome to see how great this show has truly become. And I mean, I've been praising this show from episode 1. I know a lot of people, when it was more in the unluckiness, like the very extreme signs falling down, Truck-kun trying to throw you into an isekai world, it wasn't for everyone. And like I mentioned earlier in the videos, that like I was glad that they toned it down and they made it a little more slice of life with just, you know, the small bad luck stuff, losing your wallet, losing this or that. And the fact that they decided to pull a fast one on us with this girl who I never expected to care about. And after last week, I very much was impressed, and I had expectations, and hell, my expectations were basically bang on with where they would go in this episode, and it still sucker punched me right in the heart, making me feel bad, but knowing that sometimes sadness and learning defeat is something that we need to accept and learn from so we can make decisions in the future that will make us happy, right? And I'm glad that this isn't a show that's just here to say everything's always going to be alright. Sometimes people will get hurt, but it doesn't mean like it's because people are assholes. It's just because other people are already in love and unfortunately you missed out. It's time to learn and grow from that and be happy for them as you try to find your own happiness down the line. And I'm glad that this wasn't Izumi has to consider which one does he choose, or, you know, they're going to have these romance rivals. This isn't a generic harem, right? This is a committed relationship that truly loves each other, and the fact that said friend that you didn't even really know was a friend prior to last week, but the fact that you can tell they had such a nice connection, and that library was really peace of mind for her, and everywhere else she went was just because how the hell do you get out of being worshipped, right? You could say, screw you all, but then you're just hated, right? There's no win-lose situation. It's just a lose-lose situation for her. And eventually someone will come for her that will be like Izumi, treat her nice, and they'll click and everything will be nice. But sometimes you gotta fall down and pick yourself back up before you get to that moment. And for many of us, it's you fall down a lot before you get there. But everyone does reach the finish line that they're aiming for. And I like that this episode wasn't afraid to have a message like that, as painful as it might be for some people to watch, right? I leave, once again, another episode impressed. I might go as far as say best directed, and I think most emotional episode, so therefore probably the best episode for me. And I also love the fact that they didn't abuse music or voice acting or like a voice actor crying audibly, right? Sometimes it was eerily quiet, and then when the emotion got amplified with the audio, it was just such a perfectly directed episode, both on the visual and audio department, and you love to see it for an emotional heart tug like this. Really, really like it, and I can't wait to see how they're going to wrap it all up. We do have a delay next week, as I mentioned a couple of videos back about the planned delays because they had to catch up after the studio shut down for a couple of weeks to catch up after they closed for COVID. So we do have to wait a couple of weeks for the next episode, but I mean, going out on an episode like this, I'm okay waiting because they left us on quality. But thoughts, if you have any down below, favorite moment, what do you hope to see maybe with future episodes? Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. Till next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.